The Harvest Moon Massacre. The morning sun cast long shadows across the golden wheat fields of Harvest Moon Colony as Commander Sarah Chen walked through the agricultural sectors. The planet Kepler 442 bits had proven to be humanity's most successful farming world, with its rich soil and perfect climate supporting crops that fed dozens of other human settlements. Sarah paused to watch a group of children playing with their pet dogs near the grain silos, their laughter echoing across the peaceful landscape. Dr. Marcus Webb was in the veterinary clinic when the first reports came in. The colony's livestock had been acting strangely for 3 days, refusing to graze in certain areas and huddling together in groups. The horses whinnied constantly, their ears pinned back in fear. Even the usually calm dairy cows showed signs of severe agitation, producing less milk and gathering at the far end of their pastures. "It's like they sense something we don't," Marcus told Sarah over the communication link. He was a tall man with gentle hands, someone who had dedicated his life to understanding animal behavior. "The cats won't leave the buildings, and the dogs keep staring at the eastern mountains. Every instinct they have is screaming danger." Sarah frowned as she reviewed the daily reports from her office in the colony's central command building. Harvest Moon had been peaceful for 7 years since its establishment. The biggest threats they faced were seasonal storms and the occasional equipment malfunction. The colony housed nearly 12,000 people spread across farming communities, research stations, and the main settlement where families lived in comfortable homes surrounded by gardens and parks. Captain Jake Morrison commanded the colony's small security force, which consisted mainly of peace officers and emergency responders rather than military personnel. He was reviewing patrol schedules when Elena Rodriguez burst into his office. The young communications officer's face was pale with fear. "Captain, we're receiving distress signals from North Point Station," Elena said, her voice trembling. "But they're not normal distress calls. The transmissions are cutting out, and when they do come through, people are screaming about crystals that move and eat everything they touch." Jake followed Elena to the communications center, where static-filled voices crackled through the speakers. Between the interference, fragments of terrifying reports emerged. People described crystalline formations that grew rapidly, consuming buildings, crops, and anyone who came too close. The descriptions made no sense until the final transmission came through clearly. "They're not just destroying everything," came the panicked voice of North Point Station Chief. "They're feeding on it. The crystals are growing bigger every time they consume something organic. Oh God, they're heading straight for the family housing units. We can't stop them. Our weapons just make them sparkle and grow brighter. They're beautiful and horrible, and they're going to eat us all." The transmission ended in a scream that was cut off abruptly. Sarah called an emergency meeting in the colony's main conference room. Jake, Marcus, Elena, and the heads of each farming sector gathered around the holographic table displaying a map of Harvest Moon. North Point Station appeared as a red warning icon on the eastern edge of the colony's territory. "We need to evacuate the eastern settlements immediately," Sarah said, her commander instincts taking control. "Whatever hit North Point could be heading our way." Marcus pulled up satellite footage on his tablet, showing aerial views of where North Point Station used to be. Instead of buildings and farmland, the area now contained massive crystal formations that caught and reflected sunlight in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The crystals had grown in geometric shapes that defied natural formation, creating towers and spires that pulsed with inner light. "These formations aren't random," Marcus observed, studying the patterns. "There's intelligence behind their growth. They're expanding in specific directions, following the most densely populated and fertile areas." Elena's communication equipment crackled to life with reports from other stations. Riverside Farm reported seeing moving lights in the distance. Green Valley Settlement described the crystal storm approaching from the mountains. Within hours, it became clear that Harvest Moon Colony was under attack by something completely outside human experience. The first direct encounter came when a patrol vehicle investigated the outskirts of the crystal zone. Jake watched the vehicle's camera feed from the command center as the patrol officers approached what looked like a small crystal garden growing where a farmhouse used to stand. The crystals were beautiful, catching light and throwing rainbows in all directions. But as the officers stepped closer, the formations began to pulse and hum. "Stay back," Jake ordered through the radio. But it was too late. The crystal suddenly expanded, growing toward the officers like reaching fingers. One patrol officer fired his energy weapon at the approaching crystal, but the beam was absorbed and the crystal grew brighter and larger. Within seconds, both officers were enveloped in crystal formations that grew around them so quickly they had no time to escape. "We just lost Alpha Team," Jake reported grimly to the emergency council. "Standard weapons are useless. The crystals seem to feed on energy, and they grow faster when attacked." As night fell, the crystal advance accelerated. The formations moved across the landscape like a slow tide, consuming everything organic in their path. Crops, trees, buildings made from wood, and any humans or animals caught in their expansion became part of the growing crystal network. The colony's population began a desperate evacuation toward the western settlements and the spaceport. Dr. Marcus Webb was helping load animals onto evacuation transports when he noticed something remarkable. While humans fled in panic and confusion, many of the colony's animals seemed to know exactly where to go to avoid the crystals. The horses led their herds along specific paths that kept them just ahead of the crystal expansion. Dogs guided lost children away from dangerous areas without any human direction. Even the cats, normally independent, worked together to lead families toward safety. "Sarah," Marcus called over his communicator while watching a group of border collies systematically herding colonists away from a crystal formation that was growing behind a nearby hill. "The animals aren't just fleeing randomly. They're predicting where the crystals will expand next." Sarah was coordinating evacuation efforts from a mobile command post when Marcus' observation reached her. She looked around and realized he was right. Every time the evacuation encountered unexpected crystal growth, the animals had already moved people away from those areas. The pets and livestock seemed to possess an early warning system that human technology couldn't match. "How are they doing it?" Sarah asked, watching the cat deliberately knock over a lantern to prevent a family from walking toward what looked like safe territory, but which the cat seemed to know was dangerous. Marcus had spent his career studying animal behavior, but what he was witnessing went beyond normal animal instincts. The colony's dogs were working in coordinated packs, moving between human groups and guiding them with body language and positioning. Horses carried injured people without being asked, seemingly knowing exactly where medical stations had been established. Even the farm chickens had formed organized flocks that avoided crystal zones with uncanny accuracy. "They're sensing something we can't detect," Marcus realized. "Maybe electromagnetic fields, maybe chemical signatures. The crystals might be giving off warnings that only animals can perceive." The evacuation continued through the night, with nearly 8,000 colonists successfully reaching the western safe zones. But 4,000 people remained trapped in areas where crystal growth had cut off escape routes. Traditional rescue operations were impossible because any vehicle or aircraft that approached the crystals risked being consumed and adding to the crystalline network's growth. Elena established communication with some of the trapped groups using emergency radios. The reports were terrifying but consistent. The crystals grew slowly enough that people could stay ahead of them temporarily, but the formations seemed to be herding humans into specific areas like a trap closing gradually. "They're intelligent," Elena reported to the emergency council. "The crystal network is coordinating its growth to surround the remaining population centers. It's not just consuming randomly, it's hunting." As dawn broke over Harvest Moon Colony, Sarah faced the reality that conventional rescue operations would fail. The crystals had proven immune to human weapons and technology. Standard evacuation procedures were useless against an enemy that could consume the vehicle sent to help. The colony's remaining population would be absorbed into the crystal network within days, unless a completely different approach could be found. That's when Marcus made the observation that would change everything. While reviewing footage of the night's evacuation, he noticed that in every successful rescue, animals had played a crucial role. Dogs had guided people along safe paths. Horses had carried the injured across terrain too dangerous for vehicles. Cats had somehow detected crystal expansion before it became visible to humans. "We've been thinking about this wrong," Marcus told Sarah as they watched the sunrise illuminate the crystal formations growing across their once peaceful colony. "We're trying to fight these things with technology they can absorb and consume. but they've never encountered Earth's biological evolution. Our animals have survival instincts developed over millions of years of avoiding predators and environmental dangers. Sarah looked at the evacuation camps where humans and animals sheltered together. Children slept curled up with dogs who had guided them to safety. Horses grazed peacefully despite the terror of the night, somehow knowing they were in a safe zone. Cats sat alert and watchful, their enhanced senses monitoring for threats their human companions couldn't detect. "You're suggesting we use animals to fight crystal aliens?" Sarah asked, the idea sounding impossible but also somehow perfectly logical given what they had witnessed. Marcus nodded, his mind already working on possibilities he had never considered before. Not fight them directly, but guide us, warn us, help us understand what we're facing. These crystals might be technologically advanced, but they're encountering Earth's evolutionary heritage for the first time. Every animal on this colony is the product of millions of years of survival adaptation. As reports continued to arrive from other human worlds under crystal attack, Sarah realized that Harvest Moon might be more than just another colony to evacuate. It could be the testing ground for a completely new approach to defending humanity against threats that conventional military thinking couldn't handle. The crystalline aliens had expected to find easy prey on human agricultural worlds. Instead, they had encountered something they couldn't understand or predict: the partnership between humans and Earth's most successful evolutionary survivors. The battle for Harvest Moon was just beginning, and Earth's animals were about to become humanity's most unexpected allies in a war unlike any other. The Genesis Protocol, the underground military facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. General Patricia Hayes sat at the head of a conference table surrounded by military officers, scientists, and what appeared to be a small zoo's worth of animals. Dr. Marcus Webb stood beside a presentation screen showing footage of the Harvest Moon colony's evacuation, while various dogs, cats, and even a horse occupied specially designed areas within the briefing room. "Let me understand this correctly, Dr. Webb," General Hayes said, her skeptical tone reflecting the thoughts of most military personnel present. "You're proposing that we fight alien crystal formations using farm animals and household pets." Sarah Chen, still wearing her colony commander uniform with scorch marks from the evacuation, stepped forward. "General, I've seen what conventional weapons do against these creatures. They absorb our energy, consume our technology, and grow stronger with every attack. But animals predicted their movements with perfect accuracy. Dogs guided people through safe corridors that our sensors couldn't identify. Horses carried wounded across terrain where our vehicles would have been consumed." Dr. Amanda Foster, a specialist in animal behavioral science, had spent the past week reviewing all available footage from Harvest Moon and similar attacks on other human colonies. Her findings supported Webb's theories in ways that challenged everything the military thought they knew about warfare. "The pattern is consistent across 7 different worlds," Dr. Foster explained, activating a holographic display showing attack patterns from multiple colonies. "These crystal entities, which survivors have started calling Vorthak, operate with perfect logical efficiency. They calculate optimal expansion routes, coordinate their growth to trap populations, and adapt to any technological countermeasures within hours." Tech specialist Ryan Kim pulled up technical specifications on his tablet. "We've analyzed the crystal formations extensively. They're not just consuming organic matter. They're converting it into some kind of hybrid biological crystalline matrix. It's like they're terraforming worlds to match their own crystalline environment." General Hayes studied the data with growing concern. Intelligence reports indicated that 12 human colonies had fallen to Vorthak attacks in the past month. Each attack followed the same pattern: rapid expansion, technological adaptation, and complete consumption of all organic life. Traditional military responses had proven completely ineffective. The Vorthak appeared to be a crystalline species that evolved in ordered, predictable environments. Dr. Webb continued his presentation. "Their entire civilization seems based on mathematical precision and logical expansion. They've never encountered Earth's chaotic evolutionary development." A border collie named Rex, one of the dogs who had guided evacuees during the Harvest Moon escape, sat attentively beside Dr. Webb. The dog's behavior during the presentation was remarkable. Rex seemed to understand that he was being discussed and occasionally looked directly at the people speaking, as if following the conversation. Dr. Foster knelt beside Rex and demonstrated something that made several military officers lean forward in amazement. She placed several objects on the floor: a piece of crystalline material from Harvest Moon, samples of various metals, organic materials, and synthetic compounds. Rex immediately moved away from the crystal sample and positioned himself between it and Dr. Foster, showing clear defensive behavior. Animals don't just react to the Vorthak crystals, Dr. Foster explained. They can detect them at distances far beyond our instrument capabilities. More importantly, their survival instincts developed through millions of years of evolution give them response patterns that are completely unpredictable to a species that thinks in mathematical certainties. Ryan Kim presented the technical aspects of what they were calling the Genesis Protocol. We're not talking about turning animals into weapons. We're talking about enhancing their natural abilities through selective breeding, training, and minimal technological augmentation, making them better at what evolution already designed them to do. The enhancement proposals were carefully designed to avoid changing the fundamental nature of Earth's animals. Dogs would receive improved coordination implants that enhanced their natural pack hunting abilities. Cats would get sensory boosters that amplified their already superior night vision and stealth capabilities. Horses would be bred for enhanced strength and endurance while maintaining their natural intelligence and loyalty to human riders. The most promising development involves honeybees, Dr. Foster said, bringing forward a specialized containment unit. Bees operate as a collective intelligence with communication patterns the Vorthak have never encountered. We've bred colonies with enhanced coordination and equipped them with microtransmitters that allowed them to map areas too dangerous for human reconnaissance. General Hayes remained skeptical, but the mounting evidence was difficult to ignore. Even if animals can detect these crystals, how do you propose they actually fight them? The Vorthak consume anything organic they touch. Dr. Webb smiled and activated a video feed from a testing facility. The screen showed a controlled environment where small crystal formations had been placed in various configurations. A team of specially trained cats moved through the test area with remarkable precision, avoiding crystal contact while systematically disrupting the formation's growth patterns. Cats are ambush predators with enhanced spatial intelligence, Dr. Webb explained as they watched the felines work. They can navigate complex three-dimensional environments and strike at precise weak points. The crystals grow in predictable patterns, but cats think in terms of unpredictable approaches and timing. The testing footage showed cats climbing over crystal formations, knocking over supporting structures, and creating cascade failures that caused entire crystalline networks to collapse without the cats ever making direct contact with the consuming surfaces. Ryan Kim presented additional test results involving dogs working in coordinated packs. Border collies and other herding breeds can manipulate movement patterns through psychological pressure and positioning. They've been trained to herd crystal formations the same way they herd sheep, guiding the growth into areas where it can be contained or disrupted. The most impressive demonstration involved a specially trained horse and rider combination. Lieutenant Maria Santos, an expert equestrian, rode through a simulated crystal maze while her mount, a mare named Thunder, navigated obstacles too complex for mechanical vehicles. The horse's natural intelligence combined with enhanced training allowed the team to move through dangerous areas, place explosives at strategic points, and escape before the crystals could respond. Horses don't rely on technology that crystals can absorb, Lieutenant Santos explained after the demonstration. They think independently, make decisions based on immediate environmental feedback, and can carry human riders into areas where vehicles would be consumed instantly. Dr. Foster presented the most ambitious aspect of the Genesis Protocol: enhanced honeybee colonies that could work as biological reconnaissance networks. Bees communicate through chemical signals and dance patterns that create a distributed intelligence system. We've enhanced their natural abilities to map territory and coordinate activities across large areas. The bee colonies have been trained to identify crystal formations, map their growth patterns, and communicate this information back to human handlers through enhanced chemical markers that specialized equipment could detect and translate. In test environments, The bees created detailed maps of crystal networks with accuracy that surpassed any technological surveillance system. The key advantage, Dr. Webb emphasized, is unpredictability. The Vortex operate through logical analysis and pattern recognition. Earth's animals evolved through millions of years of avoiding predators, finding food in changing environments, and adapting to unpredictable threats. Their behavior patterns are fundamentally chaotic from the Vortex perspective. General Hayes reviewed test results showing success rates that far exceeded conventional military approaches. Animals enhanced through the Genesis Protocol successfully completed reconnaissance missions with 94% success rates in crystal environments. Traditional technological approaches had success rates below 15% and resulted in equipment loss that actually strengthened Vortex positions. The animals don't just avoid being consumed, Ryan Kim explained. They actively disrupt crystal growth patterns through behaviors the Vortex can't predict or counter. It's like trying to use mathematics to predict art or poetry. The final presentation element addressed the most important question. Could animals and humans work together effectively in actual combat conditions? Dr. Foster showed footage from intensive training programs where human soldiers worked alongside animal partners in simulated Vortex environments. The results showed remarkable cooperation between species. Dogs anticipated human needs and guided soldiers away from crystal traps. Cats provided early warning systems that prevented ambushes. Horses carried wounded through evacuation routes that vehicles couldn't navigate. Bees created communication networks that functioned even when crystal interference disabled electronic systems. We're not asking animals to fight an alien war, Sarah Chen concluded. We're asking them to do what they've always done, survive, adapt, and help their human partners survive. The difference is that now we're facing a threat that our technology can't handle, but our evolutionary heritage can. General Hayes considered the proposal for several minutes while reviewing classified reports from other colony attacks. The military's conventional approaches have failed completely. Every technological weapon system had been absorbed and turned against human defenders. Traditional tactics based on technological superiority were useless against an enemy that consumed technology and grew stronger from every attack. Dr. Webb, Dr. Foster, you have authorization to proceed with Genesis protocol development, General Hayes finally decided. We'll establish training facilities and begin preparation for counterattack operations. But understand this. If your theory is wrong, we'll lose the animals along with everything else. Marcus Webb looked at Rex, the border collie who had saved hundreds of lives during the Harvest Moon evacuation. The dog looked back with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand the importance of what was being discussed. General, these animals have already proven they can save human lives in situations where our technology fails, Marcus said. They're not just our weapons against the Vortex. They're our partners in a fight for the survival of everything we've built together on dozens of worlds. The Genesis Protocol was approved, and within weeks, training facilities across Earth began preparing for the most unusual military operation in human history. Earth's animals were about to become the galaxy's most unexpected defenders, proving that millions of years of evolutionary partnership between species could triumph over advanced alien technology designed for logical conquest. The Crystal War's end. 6 months after the Genesis Protocol's approval, the combined human-animal strike force approached Harvest Moon Colony aboard the specially modified transport ship Earth's Guardian. The vessel had been redesigned to accommodate both human soldiers and their animal partners, with specialized compartments for dogs, cats, horses, and thousands of enhanced honeybee colonies. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck, watching the planet where her home had been consumed by crystalline invaders. The Harvest Moon Colony was unrecognizable. Where once golden wheat fields had stretched to the horizon, massive crystal formations now created a landscape that looked like a geometric nightmare. The crystals had grown into interconnected networks that pulsed with internal light, creating patterns that were beautiful and terrifying. Intelligence reports indicated that the Vortex had turned the entire planet into a breeding ground for expanding their crystalline empire. Dr. Marcus Webb reviewed final preparations with his team of animal specialists. Rex, the border collie who had become the symbol of the Genesis Protocol, wore a specially designed harness containing communication equipment and environmental sensors. Around the ship, other animals prepared for their roles in humanity's most unconventional military operation. Lieutenant Maria Santos checked her equipment while her horse Thunder stood calmly in the specialized equine transport bay. The mare had been enhanced with improved cardiovascular systems and enhanced intelligence, but her fundamental nature remained unchanged. Thunder trusted Maria completely, and that trust would be crucial in the chaotic environment they were about to enter. Dr. Amanda Foster supervised the bee colonies that would serve as their primary reconnaissance network. Each hive contained thousands of bees with enhanced communication abilities and microscopic sensors that could detect crystal formations from remarkable distances. The bees had been trained to work with human handlers and could create detailed maps of enemy positions without being detected by vortex sensors. Tech specialist Ryan Kim monitored communication systems designed to work with animal partners. The equipment translated animal behavior into tactical information that human commanders could use for strategic decisions. Dogs could indicate the size and movement of crystal formations through specific bark patterns. Cats could signal the presence of hidden threats through body language that sensors interpreted automatically. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to lead the strike force's military operations, addressed the combined human and animal teams through the ship's communication system. Remember, our advantage isn't superior firepower. It's cooperation and unpredictability. The Vortex think in terms of logical patterns and mathematical certainties. Our animal partners think in terms of survival instincts and adaptive responses. The first phase of the operation began with reconnaissance. Enhanced bee colonies were released over different areas of the crystal-covered planet, creating a biological surveillance network that could map Vortex positions without triggering their defensive responses. The bees communicated through chemical signals that Dr. Foster's team translated into detailed tactical information. Within hours, the bee reconnaissance revealed something unexpected. The Vortex hadn't just consumed Harvest Moon Colony. They had transformed it into a massive crystalline organism with a central intelligence node located where the colony's main settlement used to be. The entire planet had become a single giant Vortex entity, with crystal formations serving as sensory organs and communication networks. It's not just a colony, Dr. Foster reported to the strike force commanders. The whole planet is one giant crystalline organism. The individual formations we fought before were just parts of something much larger. Sarah Chen studied the reconnaissance data with growing understanding. That's why conventional attacks failed so completely. We were trying to fight individual crystals when we should have been targeting the central intelligence that controls everything. The bee reconnaissance also revealed the location of surviving human colonists. Nearly 3,000 people were trapped in crystal formations that had grown around them like protective shells. The Vortex hadn't consumed them immediately, but seemed to be keeping them alive for some purpose that intelligence analysis couldn't determine. They're not just feeding on organic matter, Marcus Webb realized as he studied the bee-transmitted images. They're studying us, learning about human biology and behavior from living specimens. The rescue operation began with cat teams infiltrating the crystal formations. Enhanced felines moved through the crystalline networks with incredible stealth, their natural climbing abilities allowing them to navigate three-dimensional crystal mazes that would trap human soldiers. The cats carried micro-explosives designed to disrupt crystal growth patterns without creating large explosions that might harm trapped colonists. Elena Rodriguez, now serving as the mission's communication coordinator, monitored signals from the cat teams as they moved deeper into crystal territory. Teams Alpha through Delta have reached the prisoner holding areas. The crystals have grown around the colonists, but haven't absorbed them. They appear to be in some kind of suspended animation. The cats worked with surgical precision, placing explosive charges at specific structural points where crystal formations connected to the main network. Their natural predator instincts had been enhanced through training that taught them to identify weak points in crystal architecture. Each explosion was carefully timed to create cascade failures that freed trapped humans without causing injuries. While cat teams performed rescue operations, dog packs created diversions that drew Vortex attention away from critical areas. Border collies and other herding breeds had been trained to manipulate crystal growth patterns through coordinated movement and positioning. They could make crystal formations expand to specific directions by triggering the vortex's natural hunting responses. Rex led the primary dog pack in a complex operation that confused the planet's crystalline intelligence. The dogs moved in patterns that appeared random but were actually carefully choreographed to create false targets and misdirect vortex defensive responses. From the crystalline entity's perspective, threats seemed to appear and disappear without logical explanation. Lieutenant Santos and Thunder spearheaded the most dangerous phase of the operation: direct assault on the central intelligence node. The horse and rider combination moved through areas too dangerous for vehicles or foot soldiers, carrying specialized equipment designed to disrupt the vortex central coordination systems. Thunder navigated crystal formations with the enhanced intelligence and sure-footedness that made horses humanity's companions for thousands of years. The mare could assess terrain conditions, identify safe paths, and make split-second decisions that kept both horse and rider safe in an environment designed to trap and consume organic life. Approaching Central Node, Maria reported as Thunder carried her through a crystal canyon toward the heart of the vortex entity. The formations are getting more complex, but Thunder's finding pathways that aren't showing up on our sensors. The Central Intelligence Node was located in what had once been Harvest Moon's main administrative building. The structure had been transformed into a massive crystal cathedral with geometric patterns that created a sense of overwhelming order and mathematical perfection. At the center stood a crystalline entity that was clearly the Vortex Empress, a being of such architectural beauty that looking at it directly caused disorientation. The Vortex Empress was unlike the smaller crystal formations they had encountered before. She stood nearly 20 feet tall, with perfect geometric proportions and surfaces that reflected light in patterns that seemed to bend reality itself. Her presence radiated an intelligence that was vast, ancient, and completely alien to human understanding. When Maria and Thunder entered the Crystal Cathedral, the Empress spoke through harmonic resonances that the translation equipment converted into human language. "The Chaos Bringers have returned. Your kind brings disorder to the perfection we create from consumed matter." Maria dismounted from Thunder and activated the disruption device she had carried through the dangerous journey. "We're not here to bring chaos. We're here to take back what you stole." The Vortex Empress studied Maria and Thunder with crystalline senses that analyzed their biological patterns. The large four-legged one shows mathematical impossibilities. Its behavior patterns cannot be calculated or predicted. How does your species create such disorder within ordered biological systems? Thunder stamped nervously but remained steady, her enhanced intelligence allowing her to sense the alien's confusion without being overwhelmed by fear. The horse's behavior was indeed mathematically impossible from the Vortex perspective because it combined trained responses, instinctive reactions, and individual personality traits in ways that defied logical analysis. "That's what you don't understand about Earth life," Maria replied while activating additional disruption devices that CAT teams had positioned throughout the cathedral. "We don't follow mathematical patterns. We adapt, we choose, we surprise even ourselves." The final phase of the operation began when Dr. Foster released the Master Bee Swarm. Thousands of enhanced bees entered the Crystal Cathedral simultaneously, creating a biological storm that completely overwhelmed the Vortex Empress's ability to process information. The bees moved in patterns that combined hive intelligence with individual decision-making, creating chaos that the crystalline mind couldn't comprehend or counter. As the bee swarm disrupted the central intelligence, explosions throughout the crystal network began fragmenting the planet-wide Vortex entity. CAT teams had placed charges with perfect precision, creating cascade failures that separated the crystalline organism into isolated sections that could no longer coordinate their responses. Dog packs guided freed colonists away from collapsing crystal formations, while horses carried the injured to safety zones established around the landing site. The animal partners worked with their human companions in perfect coordination, each species contributing abilities that complemented and enhanced the others. The Vortex Empress made one final attempt to understand what was happening to her perfectly ordered world. "Your species should have been consumed efficiently. Your technology was absorbed. Your logical responses were calculated and countered. How does chaos defeat order?" Sarah Chen entered the Crystal Cathedral as the structure began to collapse around them. Because we're not just one species. We're dozens of species that learned to work together over millions of years. Every animal here chose to fight alongside us. That choice, that partnership, that's something your mathematics can't calculate. The Crystal Cathedral shattered as the planet-wide Vorthak entity lost cohesion. The Empress's form began to fragment, her perfect geometric patterns breaking apart as the intelligence that maintained them failed. In her final moments, she transmitted a message that would reach other Vorthak entities across the galaxy. The Chaos World species fights with biological impossibilities. Mathematical conquest protocols ineffective. Avoid expansion into sectors containing Earth-origin life forms. As Harvest Moon Colony was reclaimed from the crystal formations, Sarah stood with Marcus Webb and their animal partners watching the sun rise over fields that were slowly returning to their natural state. Rex sat beside them, the border collie who had started humanity's most successful interspecies military cooperation. The other Vorthak entities will think twice before attacking human colonies now, Marcus said, scratching Rex behind the ears. They've learned that Earth's animals are more than they can handle. Sarah nodded, watching as horses grazed peacefully in areas where crystal formations had stood just hours before. More than that, they've learned that cooperation between species creates something stronger than any individual intelligence, no matter how advanced. The Genesis Protocol had proven that Earth's greatest strength wasn't its technology or military power. It was the partnership between humans and animals that had developed over thousands of years of shared evolution. That partnership had defeated an alien intelligence that conquered through mathematical perfection and logical expansion. News of the victory spread throughout human space, and Earth became known as the Beast Master world where impossible biological partnerships could defeat any technological threat. The Vorthak never attacked another human colony, and other alien species began to approach Earth with cautious respect for a civilization that had weaponized friendship itself. Within a year of the Harvest Moon liberation, the Genesis Protocol had expanded beyond military applications. Human colonies throughout the galaxy began establishing animal partnership programs that enhanced both defense capabilities and quality of life. Dogs served as early warning systems on frontier worlds. Cats provided pest control and security in space stations. Horses enabled exploration of planets where mechanical vehicles failed. Dr. Marcus Webb established the Interspecies Cooperation Institute on Earth, where humans and animals from across the galaxy could train together for various missions. Rex, now famous throughout human space as the dog who helped defeat the Vorthak, served as the Institute's symbolic leader and primary training coordinator for new animal recruits. The Institute's success attracted attention from other species in the galactic community. Alien delegations arrived to study how humans had achieved such effective cooperation with other Earth species. Many alien civilizations had achieved technological advancement through logic and mathematics, but none had developed the emotional bonds and intuitive partnerships that characterized human-animal relationships. Lieutenant Maria Santos, now promoted to colonel, led the Institute's mounted division where humans and horses worked together on exploration and rescue missions across multiple star systems. Thunder had become the foundation mare for a new breed of space-adapted horses that could function in various planetary environments while maintaining their natural intelligence and loyalty. Dr. Amanda Foster's bee colonies had evolved into sophisticated biological communication networks that connected human settlements across vast distances. The bees could carry messages between colonies faster than electronic communications in areas where spatial interference made traditional technology unreliable. Their collective intelligence had also proven valuable in terraforming operations where they could assess planetary ecosystems with remarkable accuracy. Sarah Chen accepted appointment as Director of Galactic Defense Coordination, overseeing the expansion of animal partnership programs to new human settlements. Her experience at Harvest Moon had taught her that the galaxy contained threats that conventional military thinking couldn't address, but Earth's evolutionary heritage provided solutions that no alien species had imagined. The Vorthak incident had changed humanity's position in galactic politics. Instead of being seen as a young species with primitive technology, humans were now recognized as master coordinators of biological systems. Alien species began requesting human assistance with ecological problems, agricultural challenges, and even diplomatic missions where Earth's animals could provide unique perspectives. Elena Rodriguez developed translation protocols that allowed limited communication between humans and various alien species through animal intermediaries. Dogs could detect emotional states in aliens that human technology couldn't read. Cats could identify threats or deceptions through behavioral cues that transcended species barriers. Birds could navigate complex alien architectures and provide reconnaissance in sensitive diplomatic situations. The most significant development came when a coalition of alien species formally requested Earth's assistance in dealing with a galactic threat known as the Void Swarm, mechanical entities that consumed entire star systems by converting matter into computational resources. Traditional alien military forces have proven ineffective against the swarm's logical efficiency and adaptive programming. It seems the galaxy has more threats that can only be defeated through chaos and unpredictability, General Hayes observed during a briefing about the Void Swarm crisis. Our animal partners might be the key to defending more than just human colonies. The final scene of humanity's transformation from vulnerable colony builders to galactic defenders took place in Earth's orbit, where the largest interspecies military fleet in galactic history assembled to face the Void Swarm. Human ships carried not just soldiers and weapons, but thousands of animal partners representing millions of years of Earth's evolutionary development. Rex, now elderly but still sharp, sat beside Sarah Chen on the bridge of the flagship Earth's Legacy. The border collie who had guided colonists to safety during the Harvest Moon massacre would now help coordinate the galaxy's defense against mechanical entities that threatened all organic life. "Ready to save the galaxy one more time, old friend?" Sarah asked, scratching Rex's graying muzzle. The dog looked up at her with intelligent eyes that seemed to understand the magnitude of what lay ahead. Around them, cats moved silently through the ship's corridors, providing security and early warning systems. Horses waited in specialized combat bays, ready to carry riders into environments where vehicles would fail. Bee colonies maintained communication networks that connected the entire fleet through biological signals that mechanical entities couldn't intercept or disrupt. As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace and face the Void Swarm, Sarah reflected on how far humanity had come since the first Vorthak attack. They had learned that the galaxy's greatest threats couldn't be defeated through superior technology or logical warfare. They required the kind of adaptive creativity and cooperative spirit that only evolved through millions of years of partnership between species that chose to trust each other. Earth's animals had saved humanity from crystalline perfection, and now they would help save the galaxy from mechanical efficiency. The universe was about to learn that chaos, friendship, and the unpredictable bonds between different species could triumph over any form of artificial order. The greatest adventures were yet to come, and Earth's domesticated nightmares were ready to face whatever impossible challenges awaited among the stars. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what made humanity and their animal partners the perfect defenders of organic life in all its beautiful, chaotic, and unpredictable forms.